I was just sort of putting a few other parts or other activities that were going on at the ISO CPP committee meetings, and you touched on some of those. I think reflection, some people are used to that when they're coming from other languages like Java and so on. Be interesting there. Code was listed, I think, as well, but maybe there were other. There's so many things I know that goes on in those meetings. So
I will comment on this, and let's see. Contracts are sort of runtime checks that you can turn on and off, and that's currently under debate. There are some problems were found. We'll see what happens. What is going to happen in Kona in February is the feature freeze, no new features. What happened in San Diego was we did not start processing new features, but in Kona, the gate will go down for getting things into the working paper for C++20. Reflection is not what people are used to from other languages. The problem with runtime reflection, dynamic reflection, as you have it say in Java, is that when you compile your code, you have a lot of data lying next to it in case you want to reflect on it. And sometimes that extra data is much larger than the code you're executing. And quite often you lay down data that you never actually use because reflection is used only for a few things. So what we're doing instead is static reflection. That is, we allow people to write compile time programs that introspect on the code and then generate the information you want. Quite often the information you want is actually code that does what you would do in Java by looking over a data structure, but here you just compile it directly. So if you want a JSON parser, you say JSON of X, and a little program runs in the compiler that generates the reader and writer for JSON for the types, for the JSON types, and it doesn't affect other types. So IO is one of the examples. If you actually need a runtime data structure that you want to run execute at runtime, then you say, give me the runtime representation of X, and you get it for X. You don't get it for Y and Z and things you've never heard of. So it's a much tighter thing. This will not happen for C++20. It's hopefully it's planned for 23. But we'll see if we can do it. This is a big and important issue, and basically fulfills sort of a lot of the state that I would like to see C++ in. I mentioned ranges. It's better algorithms for C++ and better ways of interacting algorithms with data structures. Coroutines I actually thought were done a year ago. There's some very nice coroutines done by Goran Isherov from Microsoft, and they are available today in the Microsoft implementation and in the Clang implementation. And they run really fast, they're really small. They are not trivial, but then they are a novel idea to most people. I'd like to point out that we wouldn't be sitting here talking today if it wasn't for coroutines. They were my bread and butter for the first 10 years of C++, for simulations and what today would be multi-threading. I was running 700 tasks in pseudo parallel on a PDP 1170. That's a machine with 256K of memory. So this kind of stuff is quite powerful. Unfortunately, somebody thought they could do much better than Gore's coroutines. And they have been pushing a proposal, which, as it is beginning to look more and more like Gore's coroutines. But I hope we will settle on a design, and I hope that we will settle on a design that's very close to what is shipping and production quality and is in heavy industrial use in places like Facebook. I hope we'll get that in Kona 2.5 months. And if any more tweaks are necessary, we still have about 1.5 years to get it done. I mean, just because we have the feature freeze doesn't mean that every I is dotted and all of that. And for others there, I mentioned the compile time compilation that's feeding into reflection eventually. You can do amazing things at compile time, and that's good for performance. You're getting pure functions out of it as a side effect, because anything you can compute at compile time obviously doesn't have any side effects, because there aren't any objects to have side effects on, and things like that. So that's probably should be there in the others.
Okay.